This is season 2, episode 16 of the Money Talks, Money Matters podcast featuring Rich Walker. It's great to have you on. It's great to see you. Thank you for coming.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for having me.
Of course. So, you're doing a lot right now, and you're super, super busy. It would just be great if you could just kind of give us a background on who you are and what you do.
Yep. Great. So, again, my name is Rich Walker. Married to my wife, Catherine. We have 5 children, and we reside in the city of Parkland. Right now, I'm the mayor of Parkland. I'm also COO of Bergen Sign Company. Been with Bergen Sign Company since '95, so it's been quite a while. And I've actually known my wife. We met in college. Met my business partner in college, and his father had owned Bergen Sign Company. The company was established in 1918, and his father had bought it from somebody who actually worked with the original owner. He owned it for many years, got a little sick, and my business partner took over. After he was working there for a little bit, he was looking for a little bit of help, so he asked me if I wanted to work with him. We were college roommates. We worked together in college. We were in the same fraternity together. He was the president. I was the president. So we were together for a long time. So it looked like a good opportunity for me to, work with essentially my brother and, try to build up that company. And in 2009, we decided to open a manufacturing place in South Florida. So we bought a company in Pompano, and I was traveling back and forth. At the time, my wife and I, we had 4 kids. And again, I was traveling back and forth. As the company grew down here, it became a little bit more of a burden on the family, not to mention the winters that we were having in New Jersey, although today is cold here in South Florida. But, so my wife was like, it's cold up here. You're traveling a lot. Let's move, down there. So I talked to my business partner, and my daughter Delaney and I came down. We looked for a house here in Parkland. Having traveled down here, I knew some of the places, and everybody you talked to, the schools, Parkland, everybody talked about the schools. So having 5 children, we decided Parkland was the place for us to be, and we ended up moving here in 8 years ago. So raising our family here, it's a wonderful place. Still operate Bergen Sign Company. We do 90% of our manufacturing in our Pompano plant. We have right now we have 13 employees down here, and then we still operate in New Jersey. Do a lot of installations, things like that. We have another 10 people up in New Jersey. So it's a great business. The Northeast is always busy, so it's a great opportunity. So here I am. And then decided to run for office. First, I was a commissioner 3 years ago. Then last year, I decided to run for mayor. I was on the soccer board, the Little League board, things like that. And having my family here, having young children, I saw an opportunity to help better the community. And, discussing with my wife and I, we're a team. She's always has my back, everything we do. So it makes it, I don't want to say easier, but it is a little bit easier for me because I have somebody behind me that is always there. Anything I need, she's always there. So it's a great team that we have. And, I just wanted to try to better the community, give it a different perspective, somebody with young children out on the baseball fields, the soccer fields, in the schools. So I just thought it was a good fit for me and the city of Parkland. And thankfully, the residents agreed. I was voted for in commission 3 years ago, and then last year as mayor. So it's mayor's a little bit more work than commissioner. Yeah. You get a lot more interaction with the residents, which I truly enjoy. So it was a little balance trying to figure out the business and being mayor and trying to juggle the schedules. But again, my wife is fantastic, so she allows me to do everything that we have to do on the business side and obviously on the mayor side. So it took a little bit, got the schedule worked out, and we're plugging along, and it's love living in the city of Parkland. love owning a business. It's a lot of fun.
When you first got started in the sign company, did you think it would turn into what it is today?
I did not. To be honest, I didn't know what I was walking into. My business partner, again, he was my best friend, or still is. He always talked about the company. His father was doing this, and he said, "No way, I have no desire to do that." And obviously, that didn't work out that way. And for me, I was at Rutgers. I started working at Kmart, and I was a human resources manager at Kmart.
Okay.
So I was very happy in that, and I was considering staying, in that corporate field. Then when my business partner asked, I said, let's give it a try, see how long it lasts, see what we do. And I loved it. You own it. If you have a company, it's yours.
Yeah.
You can do whatever you want, and whatever you put into it is what you get out of it.
Of course.
I'm a hard worker. I'm not afraid to work. I'm not afraid to get my hands dirty. So it was great just having it. It's like a kid. Whatever you want it to be is what it will be. So you just, roll up your sleeves, get into work, and just, build it. And we worked hard. We grew the business exponentially.
Yeah, because if you started in 1918 and that's a long period of time for you to grow that much as soon as you step on. It's really impressive.
Yeah. No, it was a lot of hard work.
Yeah.
Or is a lot of hard work.
Yeah, stop.
Every day it doesn't stop. With COVID and, different downturns you have, we've seen a lot in the, 25, 26 years that I've owned the company. And, we've always been successful. We took it from a little bit, went to a lot, or fairly well.
What were some of the things that you did that transformed the business for that exponential growth?
One of the things we did is we weren't afraid to grow.
Okay.
My business partner's father, he wanted it to be smaller, but we made a conscious decision to try to grow it. When we first started, there were 3 of us. Now there's 2 of us who own the company, but we wanted it to be bigger. So we were out there trying to get more work, different work, just out there pushing. And we did a lot of subcontracting to other people using different vendors. Then we decided to bring everything under us. So we bought a manufacturing company, bought an installation company, so that we could grow organically as opposed to relying on other people. So then we had all the employees under our own. So our schedule was ours. If we needed to shift gears, we could shift gears. So it's been a lot of fun. And, again, times are always changing. So you're focused in this area, then you change to this area, and, you just got to try to find your niche. We do more exterior signage, so like retail storefronts, monuments, directories. But then we started getting into more specialty work. We do a lot of work at stadiums. We did work at FSU, at MetLife Stadium, and that's harder work. So not a lot of people. You could really get in trouble if you do a project like that and you fail.
Yeah.
Right.
For sure.
You can lose a lot of money, but if you take it, you can't fail. You have to figure a way to make sure it works. And we've been doing that. We continue to do that. And, having those types of projects, sets us apart from other companies. So we obviously have, competition, but it's different competition.
Gotcha. And then since you moved down here since 2014, now you have 13 employees working for you down here and even your own factory. What do you look for when you're hiring someone? And what are the type of qualities that you see in a future employee?
Hard work, somebody who wants to work hard, and somebody who's loyal. One of the things we've been blessed with is our turnover is almost zero.
Wow.
I think
That's great.
They're employees, but they're family. You treat them like family because they are family. The more they grow, the more I'm going to grow. I'm not the greedy type of business owner that wants to take all the profits for me. Obviously, I want to make money and take care of my family, but I don't need the biggest house or the best cars. I need to live comfortably. I like to do other things. Business is obviously important, but you have your family, which is number one. And then, now that I've gotten into, politics, the residents are now part of my family, and I need to try to do what I can to better the residents. So you have to have that balance. And if you try too hard to focus on one thing, whether it's making a lot of money or whatever it is, you'll start losing some of those other things. So you try to keep everything in balance, I think is really important, whether it's business, family, having fun, whatever things you like to do, you have to do in moderation and spread it out.
So basically taking more of like a family approach, which sounds great. And then also, I know people who lived in here since 2006, 2008, and they're not even close to the type of growth that you came at in 2014 moving down here. How have you built your your group of friends, and then two, your network of individuals and all the connections that you met that allowed you to grow in politics and grow as a mayor?
Yeah, I think it all comes down into your attitude and your mentality. I think people will see the type of person you are, that you're genuine. When you make a friend, you keep a friend, right? We don't jump around a lot. We're friends with a lot of people and we're close with a lot of people, but it's important to make sure people understand this is who I am. I am what I say I am, and I want to help everybody. I want anyone who's around me, the better they are, the better I'll be. Whether it's as a coach on the sports field, whether it's as a business owner, whether it's as a politician, whether it's as a father, husband, whatever it is, the better everyone is around me. So whatever I can do to help other people, and I think people see that and they appreciate it, and they try harder for you, whether it's a friend who introduces you to somebody that says, hey, this is a business owner that can maybe help you here, or whatever it is, whether, those are important things. Again, for me, it's not about the money or power or whatever. It's more about how many people can I bring into my circle that I can make a little bit better that will help me grow.
I love it. That's amazing. It's a really humble way of taking things as well. What would you say is like one of the hardest skill sets that you have to pick on while in that phase of exponential growth?
Is trying to stay focused, trying to stay organized.
Yeah.
I think we talked a little bit earlier how when I became mayor, it was an added responsibility. So you have to try to find your place, right? How much work can you do in this area? How much work can you do in that area? You need to try to evaluate that early on. So I always even when I hire a new employee or whatever it is, I try to give them as much as I can to see how far they can go.
Gotcha.
Right? And then I can evaluate what I can do based on that. I like to work. I work very hard. If I got to work 24 hours a day, I'll work 24 hours a day. Obviously, I don't want to, but if I have to, I will.
Yeah.
So you got to try to find out as soon as possible what are your limitations, what is your schedule going to be, how much effort do you have to give in this, and find out who can help you, along the way. So it's important to find those connections.
And you've acquired quite a few businesses along the way.
Mm-hmm.
What was the process and what caused you to make the first decision of saying we need to expand horizontally?
The biggest thing was controlling our schedule.
Okay.
So a lot of times we didn't do any manufacturing. We would buy from local or wherever somebody, if we needed a sign, we would hire somebody to build it for us.
Yeah.
And they had their schedule. They had their top customers. They had their top clients. So it was like, okay, well, it's going to take me 2 weeks. Well, then maybe it took 3 weeks. So now I got to explain to my customer why I can't deliver their goods when I told them that I can. And it's because I was relying on somebody else. So those were decisions we made as a team to say, look, we need more control in that way so we can better serve our customers. So we looked around and we were able to buy a manufacturing company. We did that on the installation end because when we started, it was me, my two business partners. We had Ethel Louisides, who she actually worked with the original owner. He left the company when he passed. He didn't have any family. He left the company with her. And my business partner's father had bought the company from her, many years ago. So it was really just the five of us kind of trying to figure out our way. And
So
that
the
was,
rest of it was all outsourcing. Really.
Yeah.
yeah,
Wow, so fulfillment was definitely a little slower than
yeah,
you'd like.
yep,
I get that completely.
yep.
And so with your mentality, so did your hard working mentality come through when you were in college to when you were in your 20s or even in your 10s?
No, when I was younger, my father was an extremely hard worker.
Okay.
So that's a trait, I guess,
Yeah. That kind of
he
carries on.
handed down from me. I wrestled in high school, so that teaches you discipline,
Yep.
teaches you how to work hard. That was I always go back to that time. You had to lose weight, you had to get up early and run, and, you had to do all these things. So I did that all through high school. So that kind of set me off early, to be that type of worker.
Got you. And then since that early start, did you ever think that you would have a job in politics or even just an option to work in that field?
No, I really, I've always been a people person, and I've always wanted to, I've always done, little league boards, I coach teams and all those things. So I was always involved in the community, as is my wife. Never really thought I would take it to the next level, but it was one of those things that you just kind of evaluate and you say, look, I have a skill set, I have a knowledge base that I know will benefit the city. Let me put myself out there and see if the residents agree.
That's an interesting point too, because I know a lot of people, when they think about running for mayor or doing anything of high value, they're always saying that takes so much confidence. I don't have much confidence. And the way you really just put it wasn't a matter like, I feel like I want to do this and I'm going to get the willpower to do it, but it's just like, it wasn't a matter that I know that I can serve the community the best and I'm going to go for that. So it was a much more logical decision for you to do that.
Right.
It's really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I guess that's my business background. I look at things, there's a problem and there's a solution. Yeah. So there's obviously there's always, several ways to solve a problem, but it's just a matter of, seeing it and just looking to solve the problem.
I'm just curious, what's the process like to acquire a business?
Well, the way we did it just an easy way. It was just, we just went to a business that we were working with,
yeah,
and just said, hey, look,
wow,
we'd love to work together. And again, I think a lot of it has to do with my personality, my business partner as well. We don't see, you're an employee or we're buying you. It's not like that. You're coming to work. We're going to all work together. So it's not I'm better than you or anything like that. We're going to work together. You're still going to help us in the decision-making process. Obviously we have the ultimate say, but it's I don't treat anybody. We're all on the same plane, right? Because we all want to get to the same place.
Of course.
Yeah.
So, obviously there are times where it's like somebody has to make a decision, and I'm not afraid to do that. But the more people that are involved in the process, the more they'll give you, because that's the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah, and then since you and your partner have been working together for so long, what are some rules or just what is some like lifestyle changes that you have made to accommodate with him? Like, for example, like how have you guys prospered for so long together without like clashing and then ended up breaking the deal?
I tell you, it's amazing because you hear stories of people who just can't stay together for such a long time, but we have a phenomenal relationship. And we're lucky because his skill set is a little bit different than mine. So it's an easy one, right? He's more in sales and likes being out there. I love the operational things. I like looking at accounts receivable, accounts payables, how the processes work, dealing with the people, in your office. Those are the things that I enjoy and I'm good at, where him, on the other hand, he likes doing everything I don't, and I like doing everything he does. I mean, it couldn't be a better fit, and we've known each other, forever, which is great.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So with that being said, so when you were in college, did you know that you were going to be in business, and did you know that even like you would be owning a sign company? Like
In school, we were taking both of us were taking like some criminal justice
Yeah.
and some of those courses. Never really thought about getting into business. I started working at Kmart, and I really enjoyed that time there. I started just part-time, pushing carts, stocking shelves. Then I, moved up to, head cashier or whatever. And then I was the HR director for about a year and a half. And I was considering going into that managerial program. That's when I knew I wanted to be in business in some degree, whether it was corporate or my own. I was headed in that direction, but I immediately, I think it boils down to just, I like working with people. I love working with people. I don't like it. I love it. I love meeting new people. I love finding about what they like. And I like helping them what they're good at and helping them, get better at whatever it is. That's what I love. And I found that early on at Kmart. And then when my business partner said, hey, let's do this, I kind of said, look, now I can do that on my own.
How does the business mindset transfer into now being a mayor?
Yeah, I think it's very similar. I think that's one of the things that I feel is a little bit different. For me, I look at very simple, if residents have an issue or they're looking for something, I want to try to find that solution. And that's it. There's no agendas. Being a mayor or being in politics, whatever it is, government is a business.
Of course.
Right? So
it's a really large one.
Yeah, Parkland's a little bit smaller than the federal government or state government, but it's the same thing. The residents are the customers, and it's my job as the mayor to serve the customers, the residents, as best I can, to help Parkland, as a whole. So it's my job to keep property values up, keep people happy, making sure things are maintained, the infrastructure. Those are the ones I have to bring those ideas to the table. And I feel that's a skill set that I think I have, differently in the business, but I don't look at it any different, than I do my company.
Got it. Yeah. So with the new role of the mayor, what are some things that you do to try to pinpoint main pain points of residents?
The big thing is being out there and communicating.
Yeah, open communication is huge.
Like, dialogue is so important. It's one of the things, I guess we'll talk about it a little bit now. It's one of the things you have now in this day and age with Facebook and Twitter. It's a lot of people who want to have conversations on Facebook, which is difficult, right? Because you're going to put something out there, you'll get 10 people to respond a certain way. So it's tough. So I try to have opportunities where I can sit down with the residents and have conversations. So we have like mayor, I do like mayor's nights. I'll go to a local restaurant or whatever, and I'm doing one on Zoom Monday, and I try to be out there on the baseball fields. I try to go to businesses. I try to be out there, and I want residents to come and talk to me, and because a lot of the things we do aren't necessarily my ideas; they're the ideas a lot of other people. So the more I'm accessible, the more I'm out there, the more I'm hearing of what's going on, so that I can take that back to staff and say, look, these are the problems people have. How can we fix these problems? That's my, I'm just really a liaison between the residents and city staff. So it's a matter of the more I'm out there, the more I'm having real dialogue with residents, the more effective I can be as a leader. It's the same way in business, right? The more I'm out there in my warehouse where the guys are in the shop and it's taking them too long to make this because if they had this tool, it would be better. Or our paint process is taking too long because we're doing it this way. So the more you're out there and you're engaged and you're hands-on and you're seeing what's going on, you can you can fix it because you can see what's going on. Yeah. And you can come up with those ideas.
And then especially since you said all that and you're always out there, is it always hard to be under like the microscope and always be watched and just having that public figure just attitude where it's like you're on the spotlight 24/7?
Yeah, a lot of people I get that question a
Yeah.
lot, and it's really not. I'm who I am,
Okay.
and I know I'm a good person. Doesn't mean I'm going to do everything right. I'm going to make mistakes. I'm going to say stupid things or do stupid things, whatever it is. But I'm going to be who I am.
Mm-hmm.
And I know I'm only trying to do the best I can. Some people are going to be happy with it. Some people aren't. So it's just a matter of, I know that. That's really all that matters. I know that. My wife knows that. My kids know that. Everything else doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Because again, everything comes back to family is the most important thing. So as long as you keep that perspective, in my opinion, you're going to be fine, because as long as I got them on my side, it's all good.
Yeah, and that's a bulletproof way of thinking, really. Is like you can't be touched at that point if you know
Right.
what's really important to you and what's not as important to you, because things
Right.
are going to come and go. You're going to have highs and lows. Your family's really going to be important. I love
Right.
that. I want to take it back real quick to the business. In service-based business, normally there's a lower profit margin than normal, but
Yeah.
you're able to acquire other companies. You must have had pretty good profit margins with each company that you've worked with, would you say?
They weren't bad,
Okay.
but yes, profit margins, because we're a high labor
Exactly.
business. My guys actually make the signs. They bend them up and weld them up and sand them and paint them. So you're guessing, because in this business, we don't make things twice, right? You make a sign that might look like whatever. The next day I'm making a sign that looks something totally different. So it's hard to really, when you're doing estimating, it's not like you're making the same widget,
Of course.
over and over, and you know exactly how long it takes to make that widget. So it's, but when you're in a growing phase, you're growing, right? There comes a point where we've run into those pitfalls where you're growing, and you're investing all this money into your business, whether it's equipment, whether it's companies, whatever it is. And then sometimes you're investing too much, and you're like, you got to find that balance. So it's learning, it's always learning, because, 1 year you'll be making, this in a year, next year you'll be making that. But as long as you're growing, you have an opportunity to better yourself. But there sometimes comes a point where you got to evaluate, which we've done several times, and say, okay, we need to take a deep breath, take pause, get everything right, and then we can figure out what's the next step.
And also, but obviously you got really high quality tools and things like that. So aside from labor and obviously project costs, the recurring overhead wasn't too bad, was it?
No, I mean, really, again, it's all labor, and then
Yeah.
it's, your rent and things like that. But now you're starting to see, which this isn't the first time that this has happened. There's been inflation, there's been high costs in gas and
lumber.
and
Jeez.
aluminum and lumber. But now we're experiencing that again, which
Okay.
which we've seen it before.
So it doesn't stress you out?
I mean, it always stresses you out when you have to,
Yeah.
you got to really focus, and you got to really make sure everyone is mindful of what's happening, and say, look, we all got to try a little harder. We know it's not going to last forever, or we hope it's not going to last. At some point it might, but who knows? So you just got to, again, it goes back to communicating.
Yeah, I was about to say it goes right back into
And
that.
then you just say, look, this is where we're at. People understand where you are. And, you just got to keep positive, always stay positive, always communicate. As long as you do that, 9 times out of 10, you're going to figure it out, which we've been lucky to have done that now. I'm sure we'll continue. I guess it's not luck after a certain point, or hopefully not. Whatever.
What were some ways that you were able to keep that line of communication open to and from?
I'm always out there.
Okay. It's just you just constantly
That's
going.
it. I'm
Okay.
I'm very hands on. I don't necessarily do the work. Sometimes I do. I do the easy stuff. I'm not a true fabricator like a lot of my guys are, but I'll go out there and sand or, whatever.
But just to show that you care and you're in.
That's it.
hands-on.
You're always out there. You
So
got
that
to.
must be easy to translate into mayor. Now it makes a lot
That's
more
it.
sense. The business that you're in is perfect for that.
Yeah.
You had a really good background.
Right.
That's awesome.
And especially opening up shop down here, when it comes to scalability, what steps are you taking to elevate your sign business in the way of to make it more worldwide and just known?
If that's even a goal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, right now we're in the wait and see phase,
Okay.
which happens from time to time, because of the economy. Sometimes you need to see where it goes. But again, you're always keeping your eyes open. People know the type of person you are, the type of company you are. They understand you're maybe willing to go into a partnership with somebody because we've done it several times in the past. So you always keep those lines of communication open to see what may present itself. But for now it's kind of steady as she goes.
I got you.
So that's probably been your strategy over time. Like when the economy was great, you pushed hard and you took as much growth as possible, and then so it's like almost like throttling. You go forward, you go back a little bit, not back but steady. Is it strictly just the prices that is your gauge, or is there other factors that go into it? Just like, hey, let's kind of just like ride this out, maintain what we have.
Yeah, I think a lot of it you just got to keep your eye on the economy.
Yeah.
And see where it's going and what direction it's going to take. So for our business, we work with new businesses, right? We work with people who want to redevelop a certain, commercial property. So we got to make sure we have our eye on the ball of what's going on with the economy. Is the economy growing to where more stores are coming? Is there going to be consolidation in the banking industry? Is where banks will buy other banks, and that gives you opportunity to do work through that. So you just got to keep your eye on everything as far as the economy goes. Right now you see a lot of businesses are scaling back their brick and mortar businesses. So you got to just make sure, now we're trying to go like in more commercial, trying to find developers and, commercial real estate people who are looking to take some extra money to compete with the other plaza next to them, right? So maybe they'll do a refresh, make new pylon signs or paint their buildings or, whatever it is. You'll see people spending money in different areas. So you just kind of keep your eye on that. And luckily, South Florida the economy has stayed strong since we've been down here. Because when we moved in 2009, it was...
Oh my gosh.
It was
crazy.
Yeah. So, but it stayed steady. I think the economy, it's a great place to live.
Yeah, you moved down in 2009 and fully understanding what was going on.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah.
What was your mental escape then?
Well, really for us, we weren't looking to grow the business in South Florida. We were rather looking to save money from New Jersey.
Got it.
So our initial investment in South Florida was to manufacture down here. So we made that effort, keeping an eye on the economy to see where it would go and what direction we would take down here on the retail side. So our original investment was purely to offset overhead from New Jersey and then wait and see and, kind of grow with the economy and see which direction it goes. And now we're doing the same thing because now it's growing, but where are those growth pockets happening that we can, as a company, where can we take advantage,
of that?
How
often do you reassess your, well, first question, do you ever go back to past clients and say like, hey, do you have different pain points now? Or what's your approach on understanding your market and the places that you can have the most value?
I think it's just really keeping an eye on the ball and just seeing what's really going out there. Being out there, right? Going to restaurants, going shopping. Really is simple. Yeah, and seeing what it is, and then just trying to make sure when you do work with people that they're the right people to be working with, that they're at a level that will do more work, right? So, I mean, obviously, sometimes you're doing work with somebody, you only do something for them once, and there is no reoccurring
so you try to have
income.
Bigger lifetime value for customers.
Right.
Gotcha. And then also, since you're always watching the economy, since inflation's at an all-time high 7%, how do you approach raising prices, and also how do you explain it to your customers?
Yeah, that's tough. So the good thing for us is all of our work is bid per project. So I don't have set prices per se, right? So it's not like, this guy's selling this coffee cup for $1, and now all of a sudden he's got to try to sell it for $1.20.
Yeah.
Right? Somebody will give me plans on a project, and they might say, well, geez, last year this should have cost me about whatever, $50,000. Now it's 60. It's like, well, there's a lot of factors. So it's not what's hurt us now with the inflation is some of our projects we bid, because a lot of our larger work will take a year and a half to really get off.
Trying to keep up with inflation.
So it's, we're doing a project now where there's a lot of steel involved.
Oh boy.
And we bid the project a year and a half ago, I think, right? So we're now going back, and you try to explain, you have a contract.
Yeah.
So you go to the customer and say, look, here's reality. Some customers are receptive.
I mean, by the end
and
of the day,
some
it's
are
still
not.
just an estimate, correct? So technically, there is wiggle room because there's unforeseen
Well, once they
things.
get to contract.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
So once you get that contract, that's it. But some customers are,
Understanding.
yep. And, some of the bigger companies, they're going to tell you whatever.
Yeah. Well,
tough.
and that
It is
goes
what it
back
is.
into-
They're like, they'll just tell you tough.
That's why selecting your customer or client is super important.
Yeah.
So just walk us through how you pick a bid and then what you look for once you're trying to work for a company.
Yeah, so we'll get all kinds of, different projects, or we'll look for projects. We try to look for projects larger. When I say larger, anything over 100,000. Signed projects can go from, I think our largest project was, we did one for about $3 million, but we'll do them for $500. So it depends what it is and who it's for. So you kind of just evaluate. We know what we're good at, so we want to look for projects that we know we can succeed.
Understandable.
And then what customers? Governments are tough to work with. We have a contract at Miami Airport right now,
Congrats.
which it's a nice contract, but governments are tough to work with.
Because there's so many layers you have to go through, correct? Yeah.
And the back end takes you so much longer. The making of the signs, the installation of signs are similar. The installation takes you a little longer because their processes are more in depth, but the back end then takes you a lot longer. The billing process is a pain, the insurances, there's a lot more layers to what you need to do. When you're working with, a developer, they might just say, here's the contract, just, get it done.
So being in charge of operations, how much was your role in the financial part of the business when you were getting started? And how much have you had to learn or outsource when it comes to the financial side of saving and preparing for future and investing in different areas?
Yeah, we learned that all on the fly, so it's, you which is good, and it's bad. Sometimes you're like, oh yeah, that's not the right way to do it, and you've been doing it that way for 6-7 months, whatever. And you're like, but it's good. You learn it.
I mean, as long as you don't have the ego where you can still pivot, because I've seen countless companies that some I've worked with personally where we kind of show them like, hey, time to turn just a little bit.
Yeah.
But they're like, but we spent 20 years on this, and so much you can do with that. So I think that has been a huge role into being able to continue to grow, because you knew like you might make a mistake, just move on from there.
I have no ego, right? It's about making money, taking care of your employees, and ultimately taking care of your family. So there is no ego involved.
Can't be.
Right? That's what's most important. If you got to switch up and say, I'm way off, then I'm way off, and switch it up. It's not a big deal. Take it as a learn. You just learned, which is great, and you move on.
Aside from obviously the mistakes that you've made, but what have been resources that you've been able to use in your business to implement to get the most output of your bang for your buck, really?
Yeah, I mean, again, we've been lucky. Like, our accountants are awesome.
Okay.
We've been with our accountants forever. They're a larger outfit. That's why I think that was one of the. It's our money, so you want it all, or as much as you can, but you don't want to be cheap, right? So there's some things you got to pay for to make sure it's right.
It's a fine line.
Your accountants are one, attorneys are another. Your equipment, your employees, right? Some things you can cheap out on, other things you can't. So as long as you understand that and you don't get greedy, it's one thing my business partner and I, neither of us are greedy. Greed is what will make you fail, because that's when you don't have the ability to change gears. You just say, no, I'm making money, and you got to always look to the future, right? You got to say, okay, well, maybe it's working now, but is this going to work longer? maybe I can get away spending less money here today, but am I going to be able to do that for the next 10 years, 20 years, whatever?
Yeah. I learned that with I was playing billiards with my friend's dad, and he's like some crazy good billiards player. I like to play it on like Fridays, just as fun. And I played a game with him because I was like, "Can I play? Like, I want to see how good you are." And then I thought I was getting good, so I go to like local place and just like hit a few with some people. And I got one ball short from beating him, and he beat me obviously. But then I was like, "I was the best game ever. Like, I can almost beat you." And he just looked at me and he was like, "What was that?" And basically, it went back to he's like, "Plan what you're gonna do, bro." And he's like, "This is not just you hit the ball into the hole. It's like you have to think 5, 6, 7 moves ahead, and that's how I win." And it's like, whoa, like I didn't even think about that even in such a game of billiards, but I've learned from that one single game was that everything is about how far in the future can you do, and then how much can you work backwards into really applying that,
Yeah, it's funny you say that because we had the mayor's chess challenge yesterday, and there were some kids that you could see in their mind. He's like 5, 6,
oh my gosh, chess
turns like way beyond.
Yeah.
And I played this 8-year-old kid who the teacher said he was a champion from Colombia or whatever, and he was 8. But you could see in his face,
he's just moving.
He's like already like way beyond
Were you scared?
where I'm thinking. No, because I knew I was going to lose. So I wasn't scared at all. I was more scared of the guy I had to play because I'm like, well, I could maybe beat this guy.
Wow.
But the kid, I was like, no.
Yeah, chess, billiards, any really strategic game.
Yeah.
I love those types of games because it gets you in a smaller scale version of what life really is just make sure you know what's coming next.
No, and I mean, that's something that everybody needs to always, and that's something a lot of people don't do, right? There's so many people that think about right now and today, like what's going to make me happy right now? Well, okay, maybe it's this, but is that going to make you happy forever?
For sure.
Same thing with money. You can make an investment today in whatever, electric cars. I mean, I'm a fan of electric cars, so I'm not saying anything negative on it, but, is that going to be there 15, 20 years from now? Those are the things you got to think about. That's where some of these people, like an Elon Musk or whoever, that he's playing chess. When we're sitting here thinking, how am I going to get my next cup of coffee, or how am I going to do this or whatever? He's thinking about what am I going to do 10 years from now, 20 years from now? And I think we've done that a little bit in our business. And I try to do that as mayor, because it's not about today. I tell people that a lot. My youngest is 7. So he's going to be on the fields. He's going to be in the schools for the next 10 years. Mm-hmm. So I want his elementary school years to be as good as his high school years. So every decision I make has to be for that. It's not just about today. And the same in business. I'm only 49 years old. So I need that income, for another 15, 20 years. I don't think I'm going to pass it down to my kids, but, who knows? I didn't think I was going to go into business either. So you have to look, and I have all these people that work for me. So I have the responsibility, their families, on my shoulders. So it's important to make sure you can't just sacrifice today, for tomorrow.
Yeah, and especially since like looking in the future, what do you see in your signage company / what type of growth do you expect, and when do you want to see that growth?
I don't anticipate any growth from us for the next year or so. We need to evaluate, but that doesn't mean we won't accept it. Mm-hmm. There's always opportunities that present themselves. So you always have to be ready to take that jump because you never know when it's really going to happen. For now, we're not planning for it because like our industry, like the economy, it's very dependent upon a lot of these, new businesses opening or whatever it is. So we need to make sure we're finding what's coming next, right? You see a lot of commercial developments that open with some residential, and you see a lot of those coming. So you just got to make sure you're keeping your eye on where you're seeing the growth and where you can come in. And then, stay out there talking to other companies and other businesses, seeing what they're doing. Again, it goes back to not being greedy. I have good relationships with a lot of companies, small ones, big ones, whatever. So as long as you continue those relationships, don't stay greedy, there's maybe opportunities for, merging, buying, whatever. But you always keep every option open. So I think that's the biggest thing is just don't narrow focus on one particular thing.
One thing that's super commendable about you specifically is that you're playing the game. You're not here to make as much money as possible. Obviously, that's cool, but you're here after an explosive growth that really messes some people up because it's like a drug, especially that much excitement, that many things coming in and out, it's crazy. And I've seen it happen, and you understand that was a cool thing, but it would also kill you if you kept trying to strive for that growth and you know when to step back. And that's honestly the biggest takeaway so far. It's awesome.
Yeah, no, and I appreciate that. And I think a lot of that also has to do is my life is focused on several things, right? Family's first.
Okay.
So if I don't have the opportunity to be with my family, it's imperative that I coach my kids' teams. I want to be out there. My father did that for me. It's important that I do that for them. Thankfully, my wife's able to stay home, right? So she gives the kids the opportunity to bring them to school, all that, help them do their homework and all that stuff.
The little things that mean a lot.
Yeah, because that's how I grew up. I don't know if it's the best way, but that's the way I grew up, so I like the way that my upbringing, I think, was fantastic. My parents did a great job, I think. So I like giving my children that same opportunity, and I like being there with them and experiencing the first time they score a goal or, hit a home run or whatever. It's fun to be there and experience that, with them, which means I can't always work, 24/7. Not that I haven't, but you got to be able to balance those things. And now being the mayor, I now added a third thing on my plate.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Which is to me just as important,
yeah,
as the other ones. So you got to find that balance, so yeah, maybe I could be making more money or, whatever, but that's not where my focus is as a person. Right.
What makes you happy?
Yeah.
So what really made you an activist in your community and also inspiring and helping others? Like, did you have a mentor that taught you that, or was it something that you just learned and you just felt like I have to help other people?
Yeah, I think it's just, that's just a feel. I mean, my father was always involved, he wasn't in politics or anything like that, but he was on the Little League board and he was always out there coaching and umpiring and, all that stuff. And I thought that was great. That's a different to me type of respect that you get from people. It's not a respect that, oh, this guy makes a lot of money or this guy's powerful or whatever. This guy's just a nice guy.
Yeah.
Like that's the legacy. If I can leave anything, it would be, everybody says this was a nice guy. He did it right. Whatever right is, he was just nice. He was genuine. And that to me is, it's very important. If not the most important thing, I think that's, certainly up there.
Gotcha.
What are some things that you've implemented in your personal finance life to prepare for the rainy days?
So, I think one of the things we did early on, we started a simple IRA, 20 years ago, probably a year after owning the business. We started that because we wanted to prepare for the future. Then as we got employees, we wanted to make sure we were doing the same thing for them, right? Because again, yes, I want to make money, but I want everyone around me to enjoy everything as well. So we started a 401k for our employees because I think it's so important to give them, you're giving them, an opportunity to make what what you're making. I don't care what people make. If people make whatever, they make whatever. It's great. But I want to try to help them as much as I can. So I think those types of investments were very important early on because a lot of people I talked to didn't do that. Certainly not when they were starting their own business. Again, sometimes you get cheap, right? You get cheap today. There's a lot of people I know, I talk to other business owners. Well, I don't want a 401k because then I got to give some of my money, to my employees because I'm matching 6% or, whatever the number is.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people who don't want to do that. But, I want to do that. That's the type of person I am, because that, in the long run, that gives me more.
And think about how much you save in like the lack of churn, the lack of
Yep.
not having to onboard new people all the time. Like
Yep.
it's really a give and take. And the more
Absolutely.
you can feed in the first time, you don't have to worry about it 3 times over.
Absolutely. No, that's a great point, because, again, for us, if you work at Bergen Sign, you got to get a real serious offer to want to leave. I've had people, or I have people with me 25, as long as I've been here.
Wow.
And that's,
That
and
just shows your character, though.
and they love it.
Yeah.
We are family. I've had people who left, and I said, okay, if you think you're doing better for your family, good for you. And then they come back.
Got it.
And then,
And then just to kind of finalize things, what are some things or what are some tips that you would give to a young entrepreneur just starting off, trying to run a business and just trying to start something of his or her own?
just don't get greedy. Just know what you want to do is not going to happen tomorrow. That's a big thing, like you see now, like in the stock market with what is it? GameStop,
GameStop,
and
AMC,
right? Everybody thinks you're going to make $1 million tomorrow.
Oh my gosh.
Right? So it's
Wall Street bets.
yeah. So don't but that happens in anything that you do,
Yeah.
right? Always save for tomorrow and always think about tomorrow. Yes, this could be great. You could be doing awesome, and that might not necessarily mean don't keep going full bore, but make sure you're maybe putting some away or investing some in something different, to be diversified. I think people always talk about diversification. That is so important, right? Because if you got all your money here, maybe you're making money hand over fist, but you can lose it just as fast. So I think it's important to just, diversify as much as you can.
Got you.
Did you have this level of balance when you're starting out, as far as between your personal life and doing things that are fulfilling to you, or was it just 100% business? Because I know in the beginning phase is rough.
Yeah, no, I probably was not. A lot of this was my wife.
Okay.
Right? We have the best relationship ever, or I think I do. I don't know if she'll say it, but no, she does. But you might not have that when you're younger.
Yeah.
But you might miss that opportunity. Maybe you do have and you don't know it. Right? So you got to be open to everything. Like,
Yeah.
I'm always just like, whatever. Sometimes things just happen. Sometimes they don't, so you just got to always leave the door open. Always think about tomorrow. Those are, to me, that's hugely important. I think that's a big mistake a lot of people make in business. I see that all the time. You see, some of the companies we may have purchased was because of that, right? They're only thinking about today. And it's like, oops,
Yeah.
But it was never, oops, you lost everything. So that's always.
Well, I'm saying for them.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. There's been some.
Got you. And then lastly, are there any questions or anything that you would just like to say that we didn't ask you?
No, I think this was great conversation. I enjoyed it. I think it's great having, young people out there trying to educate, other youth. I think that's it's really important, because I think a lot of people don't have that. Not everybody has a father figure or mother figure, who, for that matter, to guiding them along the way. So there's a lot of people figuring it out on their own. So the more that they can hear from, real people that are going through it and trying to figure it out, I think that helps a lot, because, that's where they're picking up a lot of their information. So as long as people are out there, put all your money here, you'll make $1 bazillion or whatever,
Yeah.
And so all the clickbait, because the views that they get, those videos are insane, but it's not realistic.
Right. Not long term.
Yeah.
Long term, exactly.
Yeah. That's the problem.
We really appreciate the time.
Yeah.
It's been a good time.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yep.
Thank you.
All right.
All right.